Hi guys, hope you're doing just fine. So in today's video we will be talking a little bit about Active Directory and how we could analyze events data from Active Directory infrastructure using Splunk and another tool that we call ADTimeline. We'll get more into it later. So the steps or the plan for this video, it would be the first things first, you need to set up the lab. We will be using AWS as our cloud provider, but feel free to use any other cloud provider that you are interested in. Then after setting up the VM, we are going to install the Active Directory into it and install this tool, which is basically a tool ADTimeline. And then using this tool we need to generate the events from our Active Directory infrastructure. And then lastly we will try to analyze these logs or events data using Splunk. So let's start and create our VM machine. First things first, head to the website of AWS, login of course, then launch instance. We give it a name, for example, let's give it YouTube Splunk Active Directory. Specify it's a Windows machine. Basically you come here, you have to specify for the key pair login. You could generate your own key pair, but since I've already created mine, so I'm just gonna use the previous one, which is this one. As for the other network settings, I don't think you're gonna need to change anything much. Yeah, this is all, and you go ahead and launch instance. Yeah, and basically you need to wait between 3 to 5 minutes, so I'll catch up with you guys later. Alright guys, so after you come to your instances, you could see that our instance is running with the checks passed. Now what I'd like to do first is I come here, select your VM, click on actions, security, and get Windows password. So basically we are retrieving the password so we could RDP into this virtual machine, and to do that we are going to use the key that we generated earlier. Since I didn't generate it, I've already have it, so I'm just gonna upload it. Let me come here, I'm just gonna upload it, click open, then you decrypt the password, and there you go, we have our password. So basically after you copy it, put it somewhere safe, since we are going to use it soon, very soon. Let me put it somewhere safe. Okay, now what I'd like to do next is we need to connect to our VM, so we click on connect and you come here to RDP client. Basically you download the remote desktop file, you click on it. Of course the password, we've already got it, and now we've already got a file that says RDP, this one. Now basically since I'm on Mac OS, what I'm using is I'm using an app called Windows app. It's the equivalent of RDP client on Windows machines. And basically what you do, you just click on the file and it's gonna use by default this application. So if you don't have it and you are using Mac, just head to the App Store and download this app. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click on it. It's gonna try to connect, but as you could see they are asking about password, which is the password that we just got from previously. We're just gonna copy it and paste it in here, continue. It's gonna take a while to try to connect and configure the stuff. As you could see, it's trying to log in. Alright, I believe that now our virtual machine is ready for us. As you could see, we are inside the VM that we just created. If you click on the window icon, let's head to Server Manager. Alright, I guess now it's done. So what we are trying to do is we are going to install the Active Directory. So we click on Manage, Add Roles and Features. We get this wizard. So this is what we are trying. Click on Next. Next. We are going to use the latest Windows Server version 2025. That's fine. And in here we specify which type of services we want. So we want Active Directory domain services, so you have to check this one. And basically with this one comes a lot of features, so we add those features as well. And we click Next. Next. Then Next. Okay, now we are installing. Install. It's gonna take a while to try to install all those services and features. Alright, after the feature installation is finished, now let's click on Promote Server to Domain Controller. Click on it, and we are going to get prompted with a new wizard to create a new forest or add it to an existing domain. Since it's brand new, so we are going to create a new forest. Let's click on this one. Let's give it a name. I'm gonna use, for example, my school name .local. Then click on Next. Gonna prompt you with the password. Create your own password. Let's give it a password. Alright. We specify which Windows server. In here, for example, if you want to use something else, you could use, for example, Windows Server 2016 and some other versions that are available. Basically, we got only these two because, like, we basically companies only use these tools, these two at the moment. So yeah, I guess it didn't like my password, so I'm gonna give it something else. Okay, now it's good. Hit Next. Alright, just hit Next. Next. Let's go Next. And there we go. This is basically if you want to review your stuff. Just keep in mind, guys, that you could also use PowerShell to script this. It's like actually much better than this wizard. And you could see, if you want, you could view the scripts in here. You could see you have the scripts. For example, if you run the script on PowerShell, it's gonna do the same stuff that we just did, right, on this wizard. Alright, now hit next. It's gonna verify stuff. Let me just remove this one. Alright, all prerequisite checks passed successfully. Just go ahead and install. And after the things get installed and all of that, it's gonna reboot the VM. So as you could see, you are about to be signed out. So yeah, after the machine rebooted, you will sign in using RDP, same as before, and click on continue. Now that we are in after our VM just rebooted, let's go ahead, click on the Windows icon, go to Server Manager again. Now, if you want to check and see if we have our Active Directory has been installed successfully in our VM, we are going to head back to Tools. You could see that we have all these tools concerning Active Directory, which basically means that the Active Directory has been successfully installed in our VM machine. Now, let's go ahead and go into Active Directory Domains and Trusts. Alright, let's go guys, and let's try and create some new users, and by doing that we will be also creating events that we will be analyzing later. So basically click right, new, then user. For example, let's give it a name of Bob. Then Bob, of course, it's gonna log in as log. Let's give it a password. Let me confirm. Then hit next. Finish. You could see that we have our Bob in here. We could just slide it to user if you want. Just slide it here. If they're gonna ask you, just click on OK. And let's create, for example, another user. The same method, just for the sake of, let's give it a name of Alice, just for the sake to creating new events to be analyzed later. Alright. Okay, hit finish. Oops. It didn't like my password. Let me change the password. Okay, hit next, finish. You could see we have our Alice in here created. Let's slide it here, move it to the directory users. Yeah, so yeah, we created 2 users to now. Now, for the sake of being as much real as possible, let's go ahead and create, for example, like a new organizational unit. Basically, companies, they have many departments, and for basically they have like HR departments, legal departments, I don't know, engineering departments, stuff like that. And based on the departments, we are going to enforce certain policies, stuff like that. So it's gonna get easier for the administrator to just do that when we have different departments. And how they do that, basically create organizational unit. Click on it, for example, give it a name, for example HR. You go ahead with OK. You could see we have our HR in here, and we could do the same and create, for example, another one the same way that we just did. Additional, let's give it name of engineering. Oops, I guess we just to ease, we have engineer department, and you could of course create new users inside each department, stuff like that. Let's create, for example, another user. Let's give it a name of, I don't know, Morris. Give it a name of Morris. Guess this is the last one, and then we'll move on and try to use the add timeline. Basically my goal here is trying to be as much real as possible while also creating events to be used later. Now our next step would be we want to install the tool that we are talking about, which is add timeline. So let's go ahead and fire up our Microsoft Edge. Now, for the sake of simplifying things, add timeline is basically a tool that we use for metadata and timestamps of Active Directory events. It's basically just a PowerShell scripts that we run in our infrastructure, and it gives us more detail, more power in our events that are generated by the Active Directory. So go ahead, click on code. Not gonna overcomplicate things and download the zip. After you download, you have to open it. Then you will have to extract all. Just go to extract. So after we have our PowerShell opened as administrator, you just need to localize the script that we want to run, which is this one. You need to localize it and add it to unblock, since like we said, Windows by default enables the security, and it like considers them as like dangerous files, so we are trying to unblock that behavior, and by doing this, click enter. And now the only thing left to do is we need to generate the event using the following scripts. You could run it directly from the directory, or you could run it from the PowerShell command line. Let's just try and change directory into this. Yeah, so we just changed directory into this directory where we have our PowerShell, and now we are going to run the scripts. Now that the script has finished, you could see that it took some time to get all the metadata and the events about our Active Directory infrastructure. Let's head back. Okay, we could see that we had some new generated files. That we have the .csv, .local, and we have this one which is .xml file. So basically we are going to analyze these two files, the log files, which is the txt file and the csv file. We are going to take these two files and put them in our host machine and analyze them using Splunk and the next step. Anyway, now back on my main machine finally, because it's been really frustrating with the virtual machine. It was really so slow. Now I've got these two files that I've been talking about, the .log and the .csv. Now the next step would be, if you don't have Splunk, to go ahead and install Splunk. You basically just look it up, Splunk. Basically they are going to ask you to create your account, and then you could download it normal. They're gonna give you like, I believe, 60 days for free trial, and then you have to pay. So we've already done that. Let me just run Splunk. Yeah, okay, start and show Splunk. Yeah, could see that it's running on my local host. So basically it's gonna run right now on my main machine. So basically if you are first installing it, they are going to ask you about the administrator and the password to use and stuff like that. This is just some basic wizard that you have to complete. It's no big deal. Now, and just keep in mind, you need to remember the password that you just created when you first installed the Splunk. This is like the first interface that you get. You need to input your username and then the password. Now let's try to log in as my username. Let's click. We are logged in as Bob, you could see. So this is like the home page. We have a lot of stuff in here to cover, but I'm not be covering all of it, just some very basic stuff. First things first, for our lab, what do we need is we need to add an add-on, which that is called ADTimeline, basically, so that Splunk could understand and interpret these two files by time, Active Directory timeline. So after you log in, now we want to add the ADTimeline add-on to Splunk. Click on Manage here, come here and let's search ADTimeline. Click on, you could see that I've already have it, but if you don't, you could see something and you could just, for example, view details on Splunk base. It's gonna direct you to somewhere where you could basically have to connect using your account and download the file. Afterwards you come back here, install app from file, and you could just upload the file and follow the wizard. Since I've already have it, I'm not gonna do that yet. So now let's try and upload the data that we have. To do so, click on ADTimeline. Now we are in the dashboard of ADTimeline, and let's come here to settings, add data. Skip, this is some tutorial, that's fine. Now let's upload. I'm gonna try upload the log file first, then click next. Basically you have to understand something. So yeah, like I said, you need to specify in here, it's add objects, and click on next. Basically here you could specify your type of machine. Now you can leave it as that, that's fine. Submit. Now you could see that we have successfully uploaded the data. Now let's try to upload the second file, which is the .csv file. Following the same steps, let me come here, upload it, click on hit next. So by default you could see the source type is already CSV, but what we want is we want to use the ADTimeline, so it's gonna specify ADTimeline for much more detail and stuff like that. Hit next. review and submit. Now we are all set. Come back to home, hit add timeline. Alright, and now you could start visualizing your infrastructure using add timeline and Splunk. Hit and add general information, Active Directory infrastructure. Here we could get some overview about our Active Directory. For example, we could see that it detected the name, which is this one, which is the correct one. We have got stuff here that we're not gonna go too deep into, just gonna take a look. You could see we have detected the Windows Server 2025 that we just installed in the virtual machine. These are some roles. We have the recycle bin feature disabled, which is by default, it's disabled. And in here we have a lot of some kind of users. We have the admin's folder. These are some default accounts that are in the Active Directory. Now let's head back to sensitive accounts. Alright, same thing, but in here you could see we have some users. We have a user called, for example, Seth, that I just created after in the finance department. Can he like delegate? Yes, there's like a lot of stuff when it was created, last login. Here we have some other informations as well about the users, the admin count, and when it was created. As you could see, time here, everything is documented and time stamped. Now we could see we have in here some stuff like admin account is enabled, and we could see we have like Kerberos, which is, I'm not gonna dive too deep into it, but I did talk about it in my reports. This is like a school project, so yeah. You could see by default, because like we did it on purpose, we created the user and we enabled the Kerberos, we disabled it, the Kerberos pre-authentication checkbox. And if you disable it, so basically it's less secure. I'm not gonna get into that, but you could like try and look into what is it about and how it works and stuff like that. And if you need help, you could like contact me, and I'm gonna be more than happy to help you on that. So yeah, basically that was the goal for our project, just to show how like dangerous it could be if you disable the Kerberos pre-auth. And some other stuff, you could like, for example, see all the accounts that are created, all the departments, objects with timestamps, last login and stuff like that, and many more that I'm not gonna get too deep, because like you need some deep knowledge about Active Directory and how it works and the protocols it uses. So yeah, I guess that was all for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it and have a good day.